Hello and welcome, I am Thomas Porteus and you are watching The World Report. Let's have a look at the top headlines this hour. After the great fall of Assad's regime in Syria, Israel approves an investment of over $11 million in Golan Heights and doubles its population. South Korea's Constitutional Court begins proceedings for the impeachment of President Yoon Suk-yeol. The court is set to decide Yeol's fate in the next 6 months. Cyclone Chido, one of the worst storms to hit Mayotte in 90 years, may have claimed several hundred lives. The storm has also hit nearby Comoro Islands, causing flooding and damaging homes. 2 schools have been hit after reported Israeli strikes in Gaza. Dozens of people, including children, are dead, as the UN warns over the ongoing humanitarian crisis. 39 people have been killed this week in 2 separate attacks in Niger. In recent years, the region has been plagued by attacks from various jihadist groups. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu holds talks with next US President Donald Trump. The two reportedly discussed the hostage situation in Gaza and the need to complete Israel's victory. Paramilitary forces launched drone attacks in Western Sudan. At least 30 people have lost their lives. Tens of thousands of deaths have been reported since the conflict began in 2023. Amid the ongoing political crisis in Syria, Israel has made controversial statements. They have approved a plan to double the number of settlers in the occupied Golan Heights. Here is the full report.
Israel's government has approved a controversial plan to double the number of settlers in the occupied Golan Heights, just days after expanding control over Syrian territory in the aftermath of President Bashar al-Assad's ouster. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu described the plan, which allocates over $11 million for demographic development, as a significant step toward reinforcing Israeli presence in the region. The decision pertains to the portion of the Golan Heights that Israel has occupied since 1967 and effectively annexed in 1981 by extending Israeli law over the territory. Meanwhile, diplomatic shifts are underway in Syria following Assad's dramatic departure to Moscow after an 11-day rebel offensive that swept through major cities and the capital, Damascus. Foreign powers, including the United States, United Kingdom, France, Turkey, and Qatar, have intensified efforts to engage with Syria's interim rebel-led government.
Our top diplomat in Syria will go to Damascus today. We'll have the contacts there, and we are also going to discuss with the foreign ministers on what level of engagement and how we proceed from here.
Yes, we've been in contact with HTS and with other parties. We have impressed upon everyone we've been in contact with.
طبعا أولا بالنسبة للاتصالات المباشرة نحن اتصالاتنا مفتوحة مع الأشقاء في سوريا بمختلف أطيافهم وكذلك يعني مع الأطراف الإقليمية والدولية ومنذ زمن طويل حقيقة اتصالاتنا مستمرة مع.
Qatar also announced the reopening of its Damascus embassy after 13 years, appointing Khalifa Abdullah al-Mahal al-Sharif as head of mission, signaling renewed support for Syria's revolution. In another key development, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham leader Abu Muhammad al-Jalani, now using his real name Ahmed al-Sharaa, met UN envoy Geir Pedersen in Damascus to discuss updating the 2015 UN Security Council resolution to align with Syria's shifting political landscape. As the Assad era ends, Syria's future hangs in the balance. Bureau Report, NewsX.
Now let's take a look at some news updates from North America. US President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris made a rare post-election joint appearance on Sunday. They thanked donors who raised more than $2 billion during the unsuccessful 2024 election cycle. They have expressed their gratitude for the unwavering support and have urged Democrats to keep fighting for their values. Mike Waltz has highlighted that recent drone sightings in New Jersey and other states have exposed weaknesses in US airspace security. In contrast, President Joe Biden's outgoing administration has downplayed concerns. It noted that most sightings involved man-made aircraft and no national security threat has been found. At least 4 people have been injured after a tornado struck Northern California on Saturday afternoon. The twister has flipped over several cars and brought down power lines in Scotts Valley. This area is located around 89 kilometers south of San Francisco. The National Weather Service has classified the tornado as an EF1, one of the weakest categories. It was stated that the tornado lasted around 5 minutes. A new study from the University of Miami has revealed that dozens of luxury beachfront condos and hotels are sinking into the ground. These structures are sinking at unexpected rates. The findings have raised concerns about the long-term stability of these buildings. The study has identified 35 buildings in Miami Beach that sunk as much as 3 inches between 2016 and 2023. A shooting at a pop-up party in Houston late Saturday has left 2 teenagers dead and 3 others injured, including a 13-year-old girl. Officers responded to a shooting in progress call at around 11:20 p.m. local time on Saturday. Upon arrival, Menendez Sierra stated that officers had discovered a very hectic scene with a large crowd of people running out of the makeshift club. The council has adopted restrictive measures against 3 Haitians. This action comes in response to the escalating gang violence and human rights abuses by the gangs. The measures also address the continued impunity of perpetrators. They have engaged in criminal activities and violence in Haiti. This involves armed groups and criminal networks that promote violence. These activities include robbery, ransoming, extortion, murder, and rape. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol has been impeached and suspended from office over his attempt to declare martial law, facing charges of insurrection and abuse of power. Yoon is under investigation with authorities considering an arrest warrant. Here is a report.
President Yoon Suk-yeol has been impeached and suspended from office following his controversial attempt to declare martial law. Despite being summoned twice for questioning, Yoon has refused to cooperate, prompting authorities to consider seeking an arrest warrant. The Constitutional Court has officially begun proceedings to determine whether to uphold the impeachment. A preliminary hearing has been scheduled for December 27th, and judges are expected to reach a final decision within 6 months. If found guilty, President Yoon and his associates could face life imprisonment or the death penalty. China has also pledged towards fostering healthy and stable relations with South Korea.
推动中韩关系健康稳定发展，符合双方的共同利益。中方对韩的政策是一贯的，保持着稳定性。希望韩方与中方相向而行，为深化两国的友好合作和战略合作伙伴关系做出积极努力。
The head of the ruling party has announced his resignation following the impeachment of President Yoon Suk-yeol over the weekend.
국민의힘 당 대표직을 내려놓습니다. 최고위원들의 사퇴로 최고위가 붕괴되어 더 이상 당 대표로서의 정상적인 임무 수행이 불가능해졌습니다.
Meanwhile, Yoon is currently under a travel ban. Protests have erupted in the capital, with divided opinions, some condemning, others supporting him. Acting President Han Duck-soo has taken charge, reaffirming stability and announcing fresh elections within 2 months if the Constitutional Court upholds Yoon's impeachment. However, North Korea condemned Yoon as a ringleader of rebellion and blamed him for regional instability. Bureau Report, NewsX.
We will now take a look at some news updates from Europe. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz is widely expected to lose a vote of confidence on Monday, triggering the dissolution of Parliament and rare early elections at a moment when Europe's largest economy is faltering. The parliamentary elections would take place on February the 23rd, 7 months earlier than the standard schedule. Israel says it will close its embassy in Ireland, citing Dublin's recognition of a Palestinian state and also support for South Africa's genocide against Israel at the International Court of Justice. Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Saar said in a statement on Sunday that the decision to close Israel's embassy in Dublin was made in light of extreme anti-Israel policies of the Irish government. Norway's government said on Monday it will provide $242.38 million to strengthen the Ukrainian Navy and help it deter Russian naval forces in the Black Sea. Norway's Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Støre says in a statement that it is essential to protect Ukrainian population and Ukrainian infrastructure from attacks by Russia's Black Sea fleet. 12 people have died of carbon monoxide poisoning in what appeared to be an accident at a ski station in Georgia. The bodies of 11 foreigners and 1 Georgian national were found in bedrooms on the 2nd floor. It was above an Indian restaurant at the ski station of Qaeda in north of Caucasus country. 2 Russian oil tankers have been badly damaged in the Black Sea, causing an oil spill. Footage released by Russia's Southern Transport Prosecutor's Office showed the bow of the tanker completely broken off with streaks of oil visible in the water. Both tankers are believed to have drifted before running around offshore. At least 1 crew member was reportedly killed. 5 people have died in shootings in northern France. They took place near a migrant camp, and a 22-year-old manhunt has turned himself in to the police. 4 people, including 2 security guards and 2 men staying in the camp, were fatally shot in Lune Plague, a stretch of coastline near Dunkirk. The French Indian Ocean territory of Mayotte is currently dealing with the worst storm in years. Meanwhile, 14 deaths have been confirmed. The actual number is projected to be several hundreds. President Macron has extended support for the victims as the rescue operations continue. Here is a detailed report.
Hundreds of people are feared dead in Mayotte after the French Indian Ocean territory was devastated by a powerful cyclone Chido. At least 14 people have been confirmed dead by the French Interior Ministry, but the true death toll is expected to be much higher.
C'est extrêmement difficile à dire. Je pense qu'il y aura certainement plusieurs centaines. Peut-être approcherons-nous le millier, voire quelques milliers.
During a meeting with Pope Francis at Ajaccio Airport in Corsica, French President Emmanuel Macron pledges assistance to residents of Mayotte.
Terrible et qui pour certains ont tout perdu la vie, perdu tout. Et voilà, d'une île l'autre, du territoire de France et d'un continent l'autre, j'ai cette pensée pour eux en étant avec vous aujourd'hui. La joie en Corse que vous avez apportée et la tristesse à Mayotte.
The disaster is the first challenge faced by Prime Minister François Bayrou. He chaired an emergency cabinet meeting at the Interior Ministry in Paris. The cyclone, the worst to hit the territory of just over 300,000 in at least 90 years, flattened neighborhoods, knocked out electrical grids, crushed hospitals and schools, and damaged the airport's control tower. Pope Francis also expressed his support for the victims of Hurricane Chido.
E preghiamo per le vittime del ciclone che nelle ore scorse ha colpito l'arcipelago di Mayotte. Sono spiritualmente vicino a quanti sono stati colpiti da questa tragedia.
French Acting Interior Minister Bruno Retailleau says all makeshift homes have been completely destroyed in the overseas territory.
Ensuite de la pluie, et vous savez qu'on a un habitat précaire qui est accroché à flanc de colline, et avec le ruissellement, avec la déstabilisation du terrain, c'est bien entendu une catastrophe, et l'entièreté de cet habitat précaire a été évidemment détruit.
About 2/3 of the island is currently unreachable. As of Monday morning, Mayotte had been almost entirely offline for over 36 hours. Hundreds of rescuers, firefighters and police have been sent to the territory from France and the nearby French territory of Reunion. Bureau Report, NewsX.
Let's now take a look at some updates from the business world. The UK government has approved a €3.6 billion takeover of Royal Mail's parent company. Czech billionaire Daniel Kretinsky's EP Group will lead the deal. The government says the deal will be protecting workers and services. Royal Mail will still stay headquartered in the UK, securing jobs and tax revenue. Bitcoin has hit a new record high, rising over 50% since Donald Trump's victory in the election. The cryptocurrency briefly surpassed $106,000 before falling back to around $105,000 during Monday's Asian trading session. The incoming Trump administration is seen as more supportive of cryptocurrencies than the Biden White House. Trump also mentioned during a national stockpile of digital currency, similar to the US Strategic Oil Reserve. Elon Musk is facing a final battle with Securities and Exchange Commission Chairman Gary Gensler. Musk disclosed on X that the SEC is demanding he pay a fine over his 2022 Twitter share purchases. Musk shared a letter from his attorney, Alex Shapiro, which says that the SEC wants Musk to agree to the fine within 48 hours. If he does not, he could face charges for failing to disclose his purchases. McKinsey & Co. has agreed to pay $650 million to settle a US Department of Justice investigation. The firm advised Purdue Pharma, maker of OxyContin, on boosting sales. McKinsey entered a 5-year deferred prosecution agreement to resolve criminal charges. These charges are related to the marketing of addictive painkillers that fueled the opioid epidemic. McKinsey was charged with conscripting to misbrand the drug and obstruction of justice. Volkswagen's Works Council Chief Daniela Castillo said most cuts must avoid plant closures or redundancies. She called for a solution that benefits both workers and the company. Costello assured union members that workers don't want uncertainty during Christmas. Unions warned of strikes that in 2025 if no agreement is reached. Union representatives have opposed layoffs and plant closures. Novo Nordisk, famous for its diabetes and weight loss drug Ozempic, is investing $1.2 billion to build a new factory in Denmark. The 40,000 square meter facility will be in Odense. It will produce medicines for rare diseases, including haemophilia. This is the first new production site for Novo Nordisk in Denmark this century. The factory is supposed to help meet global demand for their medicines. Israeli strikes in Gaza have reportedly killed dozens in another day of action. Among the targets, a UN-run school turned shelter has been hit, with at least 20 killed. Other strikes in the region have seen further deaths, including an Al Jazeera cameraman and 2 other journalists. Here are the latest updates from the war-torn country.
Dozens of Palestinians have been killed after another 24 hours of action in Gaza. Israel has reportedly bombed several targets, including a UN-run school that was being used as a shelter in southern Khan Yunis. At least 20 people have been reported dead, many of whom are children. Amid the latest deaths and injuries suffered by young people in Gaza, a United Nations statement has revealed that almost 19,000 children have been hospitalized in the region because of acute malnutrition. The United Nations also revealed that 70% of Gaza's infrastructure has been destroyed, including health services and water supply systems, adding to the humanitarian crisis. Further Israeli bombings have been reported in Gaza, with another school in Beit Hanun targeted. 43 people, including children, were allegedly killed in the attack. A separate strike in central Gaza's Nuseirat camp has killed the Al Jazeera cameraman Ahmed Al-Low. He is the 3rd journalist to be killed in a 24-hour period. 5 civil defense workers have reportedly died in the attack as well. Millions of displaced Palestinians are continuing to live in unfathomable conditions, with the continuous fear of further strikes. With Benjamin Netanyahu promising to continue his offensive following the Hamas 7th of October attacks, an end to the humanitarian catastrophe seems distant. Bureau Report, NewsX.
Now let's take a look at some news updates from the Indo-Pacific region. US Navy ship makes a port call in Cambodia. This marks the first such US visit in 8 years to a nation that shares friendly relations with China and in Southeast Asia. The USS Savannah docked at Sihanoukville port for a 5-day stay at Cambodia's government. Indicated that the visit reflects an improvement in typically strained relations with the US. Manhunt for the assailant who killed a junior high school girl is still ongoing. The 15-year-old girl was killed 2 days ago at a McDonald's restaurant in the city of Kita-Kyushu Prefecture in southwestern Japan. She also stabbed a male student. Both teens were rushed to hospital. The female student succumbed to her injuries. The male student survived, however, suffered major injuries. The man, as described by the witnesses, appeared to be in his 40s. Lek Junja, Indian-born head of popular snack brand Kameda Sika in Japan, cautioned Japan to admit more immigrants to revive its economy. This comes as Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba's government seeks to restore Japan's global tech dominance. Japan's aging population poses a major obstacle and is expected to decrease by nearly a third over the next 50 years. Companies are already struggling to fill job vacancies. Rescue workers and soldiers are searching for 2 missing Myanmar construction workers after a landslide buried their shelter on Koh Somai early Sunday. The landslide hit the workers' camp at a resort development project on the slope of a mountain in Tambon, Mayotte at 4 a.m. With the area still unstable and heavy rain expected, search efforts continue cautiously. More than 200 millimeters of rain fell in the previous 24 hours. 7 foreign tourists were hospitalized in Fiji after drinking a pina colada at a 5-star resort bar. Officials are yet to confirm the cause of their illness. This happened in Warwick Resort Bar near the town of Sikatoka. They were hospitalized with nausea, vomiting, and neurological symptoms. As per the Fiji Tourism Minister, William R. Gavova, reports 3 tourists were discharged while 2 others are still in hospital, conscious and stable in a stable condition. 2 attacks in recent days in western Niger near the border with Burkina Faso killed 39 civilians. However, Niger's junta dismissed reports of the attack and deaths as baseless assertions and a campaign of intoxication. Here is the full report.
Niamey's defense ministry said Saturday that 39 people have been killed in 2 attacks in recent days in western Niger, near the border with Burkina Faso. The defense ministry said in a statement that 2 horrific tragedies happened in the communities of Libiri and Kokoro. Criminals cornered by constant operations by defense and security forces launched attacks on defenseless civilian populations. The ministry said that the barbaric acts saw 21 people killed in Libiri and 18 in Kokoro, including children. The operations took place from December 12 to 14, the statement said without detailing when the attacks happened. The communities are located in the Terra border region. It is an area teeming with fighters which has been subjected to particularly jihadist attacks in recent days. The frontier lands between Niger, Mali and Burkina Faso have long been a hideout for jihadists linked to the Islamic State group and Al-Qaeda, who have waged an insurgent war against the government. One of the latest attacks saw gunmen kill 21 civilians in an assault on a goods convoy. Niger's junta dismissed reports of the attack and deaths as baseless assertions and a campaign of intoxication. Bureau Report, NewsX.
And that is all we have time for. We will be back soon with more news updates from across the world.